Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Landscapers Grow Together interview series. Today I'm very privileged to be joined by Scott Paterson from Hayden Scott Outdoor Living, and we're going to be talking about getting into the outdoor living space and starting up a business and how to get that going and growing and being successful. So thanks, Scott, for joining us today, and yeah, welcome.
No, it's my pleasure. No, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't we start by, do you mind telling us a little bit about your history? How did you get into this space and where you've come from?
Okay, yeah, I've got kind of a very varied background and colourful CV. I kind of one of those people that gets into something and they go really deep for a few years and then tend to germinate back out of it and go into something else. But previously, I was working for a company as an employee. I'd just come out of producing TV, actually, funny enough, we were speaking earlier. TV programs in the martial arts niche, and but I've always been a passionate cook, like home cook and into barbecues and that kind of thing. So it's always been, you know, cooking and martial arts is always my kind of thing. So I finished doing a TV series, and a friend of mine who's a recruitment consultant said to me, I've just seen this job posting that came up. It's to do with outdoor living, and it's all about, you know, building barbecues. Well, he sort of said barbecues at the time. He said, I think it's something you'd be really interested in. So this was about 5 years ago, and I took hold of the job, got the interview, and yeah, it was for a general manager in a local business near me, who had a large hard landscaping company, and they were looking to improve their outdoor living offering, so the niche with the whole canopies and barbecues and that kind of thing. And it was a small team that I worked with, a project manager and designer, which is my colleague then at the time was Leo Monday, and he's you know, very well respected outdoor living designer as well. And yeah, I kind of did that for about 5 years with that company, and yeah, we're doing bespoke outdoor kitchens, these custom builds. So it's kind of in the sort of high-end niche above, you know, trolley barbecues and that kind of thing. This is purpose-built outdoor living spaces. So yeah, and also the louvered roof systems and custom canopies, and you know, we sold a lot of those over the few years, and it was kind of that was me cutting my teeth on the business there, and it was, you know, learning the ropes and you know, coming up with different ideas and how to improve the business as well. So it kind of moved my knowledge as a producer, and also been a manager in various different forms previous, and tried to improve the revenue and built the business up more from where it was at. So that was the kind of my first entrance into the outdoor living space. And on from that, so over time, like all things, you kind of grow and you want to do more, but you know, things like money and time and what you're being paid to do, it gets more and more, and it just wasn't working out for me financially and creatively, kind of being held back a little bit as well on where I would like to see it go. And so just the right opportunity was I left back in January this year, so start of this year. And it's just by coincidence, a few people have been talking about me in other circles, and that knew that I was kind of looking to maybe do something on my own. And I found another business partner through friends and colleagues, and had a couple of different avenues to follow. There's a few places up north as well that were talking about developing this outdoor living concept for their businesses, and I kind of was looking at the time for a kind of consultative approach to helping them. But like I say, a colleague of mine had spoken to someone else locally, and it turns out now that we set up our own business as Hayden Scott Outdoor Living Spaces. And yeah, we started that in January, and I've been building a new showroom. It's attached to an existing business, which is a stone merchant. And yeah, we're going great guns. We've got orders coming in. We've got lots of interest. Finishing an outdoor kitchen this week. So it's been a lot of work so far, but it's been a great path, and it's now is a time where I can actually put my stamp on how I see outdoor living and the bespoke nature of what we do. just want to, go take that from strength to strength, really. So.
Yeah, that's a really cool story. I really like how you've come from a completely different background and just picked up a new level of skills. Something I think is really interesting there as well is that a lot of people in the space, I think, kind of go from they've been sort of doing the manual work themselves, and then they move up into maybe owning their own business. Whereas it sounds like maybe you came from the more of a managerial business strategy background, and so you've taken that approach to building the business rather than let's say from the ground up doing the tools and all of that. Is that right?
Yeah, no, totally. I'm the guy who doesn't get his hands dirty that often. I can muck in the best I can, but I'm not. All the people we work with and landscapers, they work hard for a living, and they're really skilled people as well. And I've come from a managerial background. Yeah, business strategy is been the key of my foundation. And like I said to you, we had a little chat before. Is my CV is really random. But it's got that theme of I've always been put in place to put forward ideas and turn them into a business or improve upon them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
well, I don't think it's a bad thing either way. But I just found it interesting because I know a lot of people that I talk to. They perhaps struggled to kind of get into the mindset of the business owner. Whereas you came from that angle. So you'll probably bring a different perspective.
Yeah, it's a different view that I look at it, and it's kind of like I say, I look at it as a producer. So I'm trying to produce something for a customer, and that doesn't. I think a lot of people, it's not an insult at all, but a lot of building trades in general are kind of one-man bands, and they know best, and they're the champion guy, and they're very skilled people, but they find it very hard to let go of that and try and grow it. Whereas from where I see it, my perspective is that you've got to be able to let other people do things as a team and build that knowledge into a team and then grow the team more rather than trying to do more yourself. I think that was a key thing that I took away from a lot of managerial side of things is that it's a group is more important rather than just trying to do. No one's perfect. No one can do it all themselves, and you just have to try and expand your knowledge within a team and grow that team, sort of empower them. Yeah,
I think that's a really good advice. I think it's kind of you do have to let go of some of the responsibility, let's say. And I think if you are wanting to grow a business, you do have to probably take it more from that sort of bird's eye view, and just like empower your teams from there.
And like I say, as a producer, like if you work like say the TV industry, I was a producer for a martial arts TV show of all things. That's what before that transition. And if you work in TV, it's very chopped up. Everyone has a role and they do that section and it moves on to the next person. So if it's the same, I look at it the same with, say, building an outdoor kitchen. We've got the designer who does the concept, or maybe the architect, and that goes to someone like myself who can then creatively work that into a real thing that can work. So the function and form work together. And then you've got the next section, which is onto the guys who actually put it together and have the skills to take that into a real product for the customer. And it's very. I try to make it a chunked up process where everyone's got their responsibilities, but no one person is God in that kind of thing. And I think it's going back to that is things like in other industries they're very comfortable with that. Whereas in the building trade, it's kind of a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time it's kind of solo guys who are trying to do all the elements and then go, this is all me, and it's not, I'm the stuff we do is a collective of people. It's not just one person.
Yeah, I really like that. I think that's really useful for the people that will be watching. How do you find it working with a business partner?
It's tricky. It's not straightforward. There's so many ways to run and start a business, and you can do it on your own. You can do it with consultants or whatever you want to do. Myself, it's this outdoor living concept. It takes quite a bit of money, to be honest, to get going. It's quite hefty on the investment side of things. So I've got a business partner who can see the potential of the industry and this sector that is growing, and you can look around. You look at everybody who's got a garden centre or a landscaping company of any size, you can see that the push is towards these luxury patio entertainment areas and the products in it. But they all cost a lot of money, and to be able to show them off is quite an investment on displays and that kind of thing. So yeah, so that's why it was important for me to, if we were to open up a new brand, then there's going to have to be someone who can invest in that as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or I haven't got enough money.
Well, it makes sense though. Do you think is it a kind of essential for a business that might want to branch out into this? Do you think it's essential to kind of have that showroom? Like, how would you advise that they get into it?
It's kind of two different strings to the same bow, I suppose, really, because I mean, I know what works from experience and being in that showroom environment and how that functions. So I'm comfortable within that. There's also like the kind of entrepreneur side of me that kind of thinks sometimes you could approach it a different way and have people more comfortable with visual concepts nowadays. So I think if you're a clever designer and with a team of fitters and people, you could provide a similar thing virtually. I recently just working with a client, and they've only ever seen the images, but it's a sold deal. It's a luxury installation. So part of me thinks sometimes you think maybe it's not so essential, but when someone's there and they can see it in the flesh, it does make all the difference. They can touch, feel, and their confidence is high then, because they know that you've actually created that in front of them. So yeah, kind of 50-50 with it, but I know what works for me, which is showroom.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the route we've gone. But I don't think it's not exclusively, no.
Okay, that makes sense. So these are obviously, as you said, high value, quite luxury projects. And
Yes.
Obviously a lot of people in the space, they want to go after that kind of work, ideally. I mean, what's your strategy? Do you have any advice for kind of going after those clients?
Just wing it. No, just joking. It's very tricky. That the high value customer works well in some respects and has got its downsides in the other. So the person who's spending, if you're looking to get the high value projects, I'll go through some of the downsides to begin with. And so generally with high value customers, there's not very many of them. As in compared to a general garden, there's only so many places that there is customers who are willing to pay the premium and want the big projects. It's also quite slow. So what most people don't realise is that a kind of from a point of contact to, say, a lead that you've got for a high value project might be 6 months, a year, 2 years. We've had customers that were 2 years ongoing. They come in every week, they talk to you about it, show you all the big plans, but they've got so much going on and so much money that they're spending in the rest of the project. You've just got to wait your turn, and it can be a long process. So you kind of get all excited in the beginning, and they're talking about all this, what they're going to spend, and then they might even, which I've had a customer just disappear for a year, and then they come back and they go, "Well, you ready to go then?" And we'll press go, "Can you do it tomorrow?" And you go, "You just disappeared for a year." But it's kind of, that's the nature of the beast in the high value properties and builds and that kind of thing. Also, it's kind of the demand more of your time, and it's more interpersonal in many respects. Maybe less, once the sale's made, probably high value customers are probably less hassle, because they do all of their research and work at the front end, and so you end up doing quite a lot of work for nothing. There's a lot of people complain about in landscaping, I've done all this work and drawings and designs, but they tend to, it tends to be part of how they judge to know and like and trust you, and so you tend to do a lot of work up front before there's any kind of payment or actual sale. So they're kind of cut some of the downsides, but the upsides are, you to keep a business afloat and bring in the revenue that you need, you only need a couple of customers. In the really high end, you could be talking with some of the luxury home builders. They can have 3 or 4 different properties going at once, and if they know, like and trust you, and you've done work for them before, then you're likely to get in on those jobs as well, which is, can be, hundreds of thousands. And it's kind of, you need less to fulfill, whereas maybe something like a small trolley barbecue, you've got to sell, to keep a company going, you've got to sell, one a day. Whereas, a luxury outdoor kitchen installation that could be £30,000, you can do one of those a month. And it's, it keeps you going and less hassle.
Okay, so that's really good info about these types of projects and homes. How do you approach these customers? What have you found to be a good way of finding these projects?
I can't give away all my secrets.
In a very broad sense.
Do you know, genuinely, in the broadest sense, is it's going to sound really like kind of woo-woo maybe, but it's kind of just putting your personality out there and kind of just getting to know people. Again, it does take time, and it's kind of knowing suppliers is important, knowing manufacturers, them getting to know you. It takes quite a long time in an interpersonal way, more so than I would say. Historically, I haven't done a lot of advertising. It's all been kind of word of mouth, working with people who are doing the builds, networking with kind of power partners. I don't know if you ever heard that phrase where, a related business can refer work to you. And it's kind of, also you have to try and give back as much as you can as well. If you take all the time, people, suss you out. It goes both ways. So it's all about building relationships has been the most important takeaway for me, rather than spending huge amounts of money on advertising. It's kind of been more the relationship building.
That's really interesting. Okay, so I think we sort of touched on this before, but I probably didn't quite ask it fully. So let's say for those businesses who might be wanting to expand into this space, and sort of add outdoor kitchens to their portfolio, how would you recommend they kind of go about it? Should they subcontract to maybe a specialist company like yourselves, or should they get skilled people? Are there particular courses or trainings that you can do? What do you think is the best way?
Well, it's kind of been an evolving market, Reece, for the UK anyway. So Europe's a little bit ahead of us, and there's products that are coming from Europe and elsewhere in the world that are kind of already built up to a level that can be sold through people like myself. But yeah, I mean, as far as training, there's very little. I'm looking at doing some more videos and training courses for landscapers, architects, and specifiers to be able to understand the outdoor living systems and the outdoor kitchens especially, and this kind of new breed of roof systems that are sweeping through. And yeah, little sales pitch, speak to me. I'm the best person to come and speak to.
Definitely.
We do a bespoke framework which can construct any kind of configuration for outdoor kitchens. So yeah, we can supply to landscapers too. So yeah, any advice advice is free, and
Okay. So you would be a subcontractor for anyone who wanted to add that?
Yeah. So within reason of distance and all that kind of.
Course.
So it's 100%. So I like to work in a collaborative way. Although we have things to sell, I understand that we can't be everywhere to all things to all people, and there's other companies that we could help benefit them by doing similar work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one last thing, because we're pretty much at our time. Is there any other advice that you have for business owners? Obviously having just taken that leap into being your own startup, boss. Any other advice you might have for people that want to make that jump?
My advice, I think, my biggest one is it will take a lot longer than you first imagined, in all ways. So yeah, from staffing to working with good contractors to like myself setting up a showroom. We've been setting up for ages now, and in the beginning, even me, I know that projects always overrun. They always take time. But in my head, I was like, yeah, we'll be up running in like 2 or 3 months, and the showroom will be done. And it kind of it doesn't happen like that. there's just add some more spanners in the works, and but don't get down about it. Just try and take any challenges head on, and just understand. You've got to be a bit patient. So I'd say yeah, it'll be
Mm.
double what you assumed in the beginning.
I second that. Patience and perseverance
Yeah,
definitely been key for
it.
me as well.
Yeah,
Um, awesome. Well, thanks so much, Scott, for coming on and agreeing to give me some of your time today. Really appreciate it.
nice.
And yeah, I'll put all of your info below so people can go and check you out. So thank you for joining, and stay tuned and come back for another episode, everyone who's watching, and see you another day.